Hello and welcome to another Sayduck platform tutorial video. In this video we'll be discussing product shadows. Let's begin. In the Sayduck platform, product shadows can be created using ambient occlusion textures. These are baked textures that can be generated within a 3D modeling software, but in this video we'll not be talking about how to create them, but how to use them when you have them. So all you have to do, like with any textures, you have to upload them to the platform and then just assign them to your materials. So to assign it to a material, just select the node in the scene, open the material, this one, and then assign it to the ambient occlusion texture slot and seed. And now you can see it added like contact shadows. These shadows are mainly used to, or the easiest way to get them is to have like this contact shadows over here, but they can also be used to highlight certain features, as you can see here, highlighting depth within the fabric. In most cases, you would want to use only one baked texture for your whole product, so have all the nodes in the same UV space. But there are exceptions to this, so let's go through them. One exception when you would have separate UV maps is, for example, in configurator products. As you can see here, I have a configurator to remove or add the armrests. In this case, I will need to use a different UV mapping for my armrests, as if I would bake the ambient occlusion for this combination. Then once I remove the armrest, this area here would be black. The other occlusion texture here is to highlight an issue that you should avoid, and that is to have additional ambient occlusion maps in your product. For example, in the frame, having a separate ambient occlusion texture. As the frame will be used in both variations, you should always opt into having it, or having only one texture for it. Or the alternative is to, if you have like a fully black frame, then just not having an ambient occlusion at all for this object. This will allow you to have larger UV space for your fabric, which allows you to get more out of your texture image. One thing to note also in the ambient occlusion texture is that this is one of the only textures that is not tileable. So you can have a tileable texture, an ambient occlusion texture, and then when you add the tiling, the ambient occlusion will not be tiled. So next, let's discuss shadow planes. Shadow planes are like contact shadows for the floor to allow your product to not have this sensation that your product is floating in the air. The way to add a contact shadow is to either upload a plane to your 3D scene and then just assign a transparent texture with the shadow that you want to create. When you use the plane in the 3D scene, remember to add the camera ignore feature so that your product will not zoom to the full length of this plane, but instead to your object, as you can see here. When you want, there are few moments that you want to have the plane in the 3D scene. This is if you want to add like configurator logic to it, or have multiple shadow planes within the same scene. In most cases, shadow planes will be added to the shadow or variant information, and I will show that now. So the other way to add this is you can just remove the node from here and then go to your variant information and then just go to your shadow plane and then upload your shadow plane assets here. This can be done by dragging and dropping them to your spots, or just clicking here and then selecting the assets that you want to use. When you use shadow plane here, the shadow plane will be will not be added to your AR assets, but if you use the shadow plane in the 3D scene, then the shadow plane will be added to your AR assets. So in most cases, you would want to have your shadow planes over here. If you need to have your shadow planes in the 3D scene, in most cases this would be in a configurator, then I would recommend creating a separate group for your shadow planes, or like environment overall, and then adding this ignore in AR feature. So what this does, that any shadow asset that is within this product or any mesh that is in this will not be added to the AR. All right, that's it for this video. Thank you for watching and see you in the next one.